Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Before starting, subscribe and like the videos, it really helps a lot. The content from this video are taken from the web novel and manga series of Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. Now please enjoy the video.
However, such thoughts began to gradually fade away. The Sylphy who eats delicious meals every day. The Sylphy who lives and works hard every day. Of course, Sylphy being Sylphy, naturally she worried over her parents and Rudeus. But, at the same time, she knew Sylphy also recognized that she was now under the patronage of Ariel. So a bit of that attitude had emerged in her daily life. Seeing such an attitude, Ariel considered what to do. It's a good thing, right? I don't need to endure it anymore, right? Such a misunderstanding had led Ariel into planning the brutal assault. On a certain evening, Ariel went to Sylphy's bedroom, wielding the Asura Kingdom Purveyor's royal dildo, and attacked. It was to be a night of dazzling pink. After all, there was no one who ever defied the royal partner, so the virtue of Sylphy was about to be in a precarious position. Counter to the princess's expectations, Sylphy fought back. With blood-red eyes, she rushed straight at Ariel and fought back. In a half-dazed state, she retaliated. Sylphy threw aside all the manners and etiquette she had learned up until now. Sylphy did not have any deep feelings of respect towards the imperial family. And once, from Lilia, she had learned a bit of the night workings that went on in the imperial palace. Sylphy recognized the rape attempt on herself for what it was. Of course, there was gratitude towards Ariel, but this and that were two different stories. Sylphy, with her powerful magic, had inflicted a wound on Ariel that nearly killed her. If, at that time, Sylphy couldn't use healing magic, it would have become a serious problem. Actually, it had become a problem. Luke, who heard the screams of Sylphy, had rushed to the room. And there he saw the scene, a tattered Ariel, and a Sylphy performing recovery on her. Ariel, the second princess who he was sworn to protect, had been wrecked. Luke, realizing the situation in a moment, knew that Ariel's bad habit had once again appeared, and at the same time he also thought the situation was a bit distasteful. Just by himself, it's impossible to cover these incidents up every single time. However, if Ariel orders it, he will let fall the head of Sylphy. This he understood intuitively. Luke shook. Does he kill his only friend to protect himself, or does he defend this friend who came from unworthy roots instead? However, that troublesome and groundless pondering was over in a moment. Being tormented, it is surprisingly pleasant. Ariel, it seems, had just awakened to a new proclivity. The royals and nobles of Asura, every single one of them has a strange proclivity. Masochism is no exception. Therefore, this one incident was treated as if it was a play. The victim, Ariel, had covered for the assailant, Sylphy, as expected, since it was the only reasonable course of action to take. However, the business of Ariel ever trying to continue her earlier failed attack on Sylphy never came to be. Ill feelings and reasons to evade company would be normal after that. Mysteriously though, Sylphy, in a sudden twist that day, instead came to feel a sense of trust from Ariel. She who was avoided by those of the same age, it was a special boy named Rudeus who became her only friend. Also, Sylphy, who was of a young age then, and whose secondary gender characteristics had not yet developed, had a weak sense of danger, and who had problems making strong personal connections. It's possible she was misled and directed defenselessly into the arms of someone with goodwill. Even though the reason was distorted, the thread of friendship was tied firmly between Ariel and Sylphy. Thereafter, little by little, Sylphy and Ariel began to deepen their friendship. Part 3. 1 year had passed from the metastasis event, and circumstances would change. No, circumstances had already changed. In a place Sylphy couldn't know, and for a long time after the metastasis. This was the beginning of Lord Liston's thoughtless words. He, who was taking advantage of the opportune chance, spread it around the nobility that it was likely the doings of the first prince. At least, that was the reason given. Who could think that a demon would appear in the royal palace if it wasn't guided in by someone? And so, he laid the blame sufficiently well on the other party. Even devising ways to treat innocent people as criminals. However, when the story no longer required there to be a person to have led such a monster inside, the situation drastically changed. To this person who was using the abhorrent natural disaster, contempt was shown. This was an act most nobles have done. However, Lord Liston mistook his opportunity. Before the matter was settled as being a natural disaster, the fact of the other party having attacked had been delivered. A chance was then shown. First on the list of the prince group, High Minister Darius harshly criticized Lord Liston at just the right moment. Lord Liston's authority sharply fell. Since most of his territory was lost, he had then become a middle-class noble. With his loss, the second princess faction, who even at their strongest was still weak, had received a further attack. High Minister Darius severely weakened the nobles of the second Princess Ariel's faction. Influential nobles, in succession, had lost power or betrayed the princess, causing the immediate collapse of the second princess faction. By losing a person of influential backing, the reality for Ariel was that the road to the crown was also becoming lost to her. However, Ariel's charisma was extremely high. Her popularity among the people was also high. If she lived, it was expected that she would become an obstacle in the future. Darius advised the first prince on this matter, and had sent an assassin to put an end to Ariel. The influential nobles had been suppressed, so there were no longer any soldiers left to protect her. The elder brother assassinates the younger sister. To gain the throne of Asura kingdom, it must be won in such a race to power. Even the present king had done something similar to assume the throne. The princess faction has no defensive strength, and there is no way to stay an assassination by political means either. Ariel's life was now in a precarious situation. But, the assassination was prevented by the hand of Sylphy alone. She had managed to turn the tables on the assassin. It was a desperate struggle. If she was not the apprentice of Rudeus, if she didn't know how to use high-speed movement by shockwave through the usage of chantless melded magic, if she didn't see up close what Rudeus was doing, and ask for what reason it was being done, if she didn't hear the theories and reasons behind it, and mimic it herself, and if the enemy hadn't underestimated her because she was a child, Sylphy would probably have lost her life to the attack she received. The result, however, was that Sylphy had survived. Due to the poison the assassin used, she wandered between the worlds of life and death for 3 days, and fortunately for her, there were no traces of disabling after effects. As a result, the name of Fitz, who was once known as Sylphy, had become known widely in the royal palace. The rumors of the genius boy had been heard. Was he a fake? It's possible they thought he was a counterfeit. To begin with, the positions of guardian knight and guardian magician have been a tradition of the royal family passed down since olden times. The position is usually filled by spare children of powerful nobility as offerings. When an assassin is sent, they die bravely in their protection of the royal family. The noble parents grieve exaggeratedly about how brave their child's death was. The royal family acknowledges it by sending a medal of honor as recompense to the family, and in this way, noble and royal bonds are deepened. Their very existence amounted to only such a thing. You could call it a sacrificial pawn, a display piece. However, Sylphy was quite different. Although her actual fighting experience was lacking, she was by far a talented magician. To hear the report of the repelled assassin, Darius had revealed his concern. The assassin whom he released on her possessed that much skill after all. The first prince faction became cautious, and Ariel's group feared it, thinking they would be killed sooner or later if they remained in the royal palace. They had only a few allies remaining, just the several servants who were at hand, and one remaining influential noble. An assassin had brazenly shown up in the room of the imperial family, yet no one was blamed for it. However, the issue was more that such a matter was not even questioned. The leading noble of the Ariel faction, Philemon Notice Greyret, summed up the pressing state of affairs. "Please escape, Ariel-sama. Only death awaits you here. You are saying I should run away? Darius is friendly with me, so I will enter into the first prince faction, and weaken their power from within. Ariel-sama then gathers her power in the lands of a foreign country, creates alliances, then returns when she sees the opportunity, and by then I should be reconstituted and ready for action." Philemon was a clever man. For him, the ending where Ariel is king, is the most profitable one. While he had pretended to gain favor with Darius so that notice did not fall even if Ariel died, he had taken steps to ready a hand to be played for either situation's outcome. Following that advice, refuge was to be taken far away in a foreign land, and there she would gather her strength and bide her time. Ariel did not know of such things. But it was clear that she would be killed the way things were going. There were many places where she could go to study abroad. Some were large countries such as Dragon King Kingdom or the Holy Land of Milis that were included as candidates. However, Ariel chose the north. The Magic City Sharia of the Renoa Kingdom was the destination. To the Magic Academy the Magic Triumvirate was so proud of. In other countries, the number of allies she would be able to borrow power from for a dispute against Asura would be insufficient. Nobody would want to back a quarrel against a monster nation that had an abundance in funding. Had not yet given up. Ariel was alive, and also the path to becoming king. It was not just nobles' idle talk. She who was born to the Asura royal family had understood her destiny. Sylphy, my apologies. Ariel was aware there was no reason for Sylphy to accompany her on this journey. She had already cleared away almost all distrust she may have had of Sylphy. Paul's name was now associated with the Fedoa Territory Search Party, and was confirmed to be unrelated to the Metastasis event. Soros nonchalantly turned up at the Imperial Palace unaware of what had happened, and had been executed by the schemes of Philemon and the Second Prince faction. At this point, the whereabouts of Philip and Rudeus were unknown, and only looking at Sora's excuses and her dedication regarding the assassin, Sylphy was found to be innocent. Merely another victim of the Metastasis event. Now that it's become like this, while I think that it's only right of me to release you, I humbly ask this of you instead, please protect me. There is no one else I can rely upon but you. I also beg this of you, my sword is not yet sharp, and I have no confidence that I can protect Ariel-sama by myself. Ariel and Luke bowed their heads to Sylphy, whose social position was far lower than their own. Sylphy, who wanted to search for her family and Rudeus on her own 2 feet. However, in this 1 year, Sylphy had come to think of them as friends. Friends with some peculiarities that tended to stand out, and whose relations with her were a bit different than that of Rudeus.
That's it guys, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want more and don't forget to like the videos.